Have you ever planted potatoes, tended them carefully, and then felt disappointed at the tiny harvest you ended up with? Or maybe you've dreamed of piles of golden, fluffy potatoes from your own garden, but assumed it takes months of back-breaking work to get there. What if I told you there's a simple, almost magical way to grow massive potatoes without exhausting yourself or spending hours digging? In this video, I'll reveal the secret potato trick that gardeners around the world are quietly using to boost their harvests while keeping care minimal and results astonishing. You'll learn exactly how to prepare your soil, select the right varieties, plant, maintain, and harvest for huge, luscious potatoes. No fluff, no exaggeration, just proven practical steps that make your potato patch produce more than you ever imagined. 1. Choose the right variety. Not all potatoes are created equal, and the variety you choose can make the difference between a few sad tubers and a mountain of spuds. Before you even touch your garden soil, the first step to a bountiful potato harvest is selecting the right variety. Think of it as setting the stage for a blockbuster performance. Without the right star, the show just doesn't shine. Potatoes are generally divided into 3 categories based on their maturity: early, mid-season, and late varieties. Early varieties are the sprinters of the potato world. They grow quickly and can be harvested in as little as 70 to 90 days. These are perfect if you want new potatoes, tender, small, and sweet, early in the season. Imagine digging up your first handful of delicate potatoes just as the weather starts warming, fresh from the soil. Early varieties include names like Red Norland, Yellow Fin, and Swift. Mid-season varieties are like the reliable middle-distance runners. They take a bit longer, typically 90 to 110 days, but often produce larger, more substantial tubers than early types. These are ideal if you want to stagger your harvest and avoid being overwhelmed with a mountain of potatoes all at once. Mid-season varieties include Yukon Gold, which gives you buttery texture for boiling and mashing, and Kennebec, a classic choice for fries or roasting. Late-season varieties are the marathon runners. They can take 120 days or more to mature, but they often produce the biggest, meatiest potatoes you'll find. If your goal is storage and maximum yield, these are the stars to plant. Popular late varieties include Russet Burbank, the classic giant baking potato, and German Butterball, known for creamy flesh and large, eye-catching tubers. For gardeners aiming for huge harvests with minimal effort, it's wise to mix early, mid-season, and even a few late varieties. Why? Planting a mix allows for a continuous harvest over weeks or months, instead of all your potatoes coming up at once. You can enjoy tender new potatoes early in the season, then switch to larger, more storage-friendly tubers later on. It's the equivalent of having a potato buffet all season long. A small harvest here, a big harvest there, keeping your family well-fed without rushing or over-harvesting. Next, let's talk about seed potatoes, the foundation of every successful crop. Seed potatoes are specially grown and certified to be disease-free and vigorous, which gives your garden a huge advantage right from the start. Avoid using supermarket potatoes. Many are treated with chemicals to prevent sprouting, which can dramatically reduce yields. When choosing seed potatoes, look for firm, plump, and healthy tubers with multiple eyes, the small dimples or buds from which new shoots will emerge. Larger seed potatoes can be cut into pieces, but each piece should have at least 1 or 2 eyes. Cutting is a great way to maximize your supply from a smaller number of potatoes, but there's a key step that many beginners overlook: curing the cut pieces. After cutting, let the pieces dry for 1 to 2 days in a cool, dry place. This allows the cut surfaces to callus over, which prevents rot and disease once planted. Imagine those cut pieces as tiny warriors preparing for battle. Without this step, you risk sending weak, vulnerable tubers into the soil, reducing your harvest before it even begins. Finally, consider matching the variety to your garden conditions and culinary preferences. Some potatoes thrive in cooler climates, while others love warmer soil. Some are perfect for boiling and salads, others for baking or frying. By thinking ahead, you're not just planting potatoes. You're planting a tailor-made harvest designed to fit your family's needs, your soil type, and your climate. Choosing the right variety isn't just the first step in planting potatoes. It's laying the foundation for success, ensuring that every subsequent step, from planting to hilling to harvesting, will yield the results you're dreaming of. With the right varieties in hand, you're already halfway to a towering harvest of fluffy golden potatoes. 2. Prepare the soil. The smart way. Here's the thing about potatoes. They're not demanding, but they do have one golden rule. Give them soil that's happy, and they will reward you with a bountiful harvest almost effortlessly. Forget the idea that growing potatoes is about constant watering, endless fertilizer, or endless toil. The secret lies in creating a soil environment that potatoes truly love, one that encourages roots to dive deep, tubers to swell, and plants to thrive without you having to chase them around the garden. Potatoes are born to grow in loose, well-draining soil that's rich in organic matter. If your soil is heavy clay, it will stunt tuber growth, leaving you with small, misshapen potatoes and frustrated hands. Sandy soil, on the other hand, dries out too quickly, causing stress that reduces yield. The trick is to strike a balance: structure for support, fertility for growth, and moisture retention for stress-free development. Start by loosening the top 12 to 15 inches of soil. If your soil is compacted, a simple broad fork works wonders. Insert the fork, wiggle it back and forth, and lift. Repeat across your bed. You don't need heavy tilling, which can damage the soil structure and disrupt beneficial microorganisms. Think of this step as giving your potatoes a soft bed to sleep in. When roots can easily spread and penetrate the soil, tubers grow bigger and more plentiful. Next comes nutrition. Potatoes are heavy feeders, so this is the time to layer in a generous helping of compost, aged manure, or leaf mold. These materials do more than feed the plants. They improve soil texture, increase microbial life, and retain moisture without waterlogging. Avoid fresh manure, though. It can burn young roots and set your plants back before they even start. For extra oomph, mix in a handful of bone meal or rock phosphate. These slow-release minerals promote strong root and tuber development, giving each potato the foundation it needs to swell into a hefty, perfect-sized spud. Now, here's where the magic truly begins. Instead of planting in flat rows, consider raised beds or mounds. This step is a game-changer for effortless, high-yield potato production. Raised beds improve drainage, keeping tubers from sitting in wet soil, which can cause rot. They also capture more warmth from the sun, giving your potatoes a cozy microclimate that accelerates growth and encourages bigger yields. And perhaps most importantly, mounds make it easier to hill your potatoes later, a critical part of maximizing tuber size. More on that in a moment. Raised beds or mounds encourage potatoes to grow upward into loose soil rather than being constrained by dense, compacted ground. Picture this. As shoots emerge from the soil, you gradually pile loose, fertile earth around them. This not only protects young shoots from sunlight, which turns potatoes green and toxic, but gives tubers more room to swell. The result? Potatoes that are larger, cleaner, and easier to harvest, all without extra effort on your part. To make your soil even more potato-friendly, here's a pro tip. Incorporate a layer of mulch or shredded leaves over the mound. This helps retain moisture, regulates soil temperature, and keeps weeds at bay. Think of it as a blanket for your potatoes. Cozy, protective, and stress-free. Combined with rich, loose soil, this simple step can dramatically increase your yield without you lifting a finger during the growing season. Another subtle secret, consider soil pH. Potatoes prefer a slightly acidic environment, around 5.5 to 6.5. If your soil is naturally alkaline, sprinkle in a bit of garden sulfur or peat moss while preparing your beds. This not only optimizes nutrient uptake but reduces the risk of scab, a common potato disease that causes ugly, corky spots on your tubers. Finally, imagine the overall effect. A raised, nutrient-rich bed, aerated and loose, with plenty of drainage and sunlight exposure. This isn't just soil, it's a launch pad for explosive growth, a stage set for potatoes to multiply abundantly. Once you've prepared your soil this way, you're not just planting potatoes, you're creating the perfect environment for effortless, record-breaking harvests. In short, a little time preparing the soil up front saves you weeks of labor later. It ensures your plants have everything they need to thrive naturally with minimal intervention. And when the harvest comes, you'll marvel at how large, healthy, and plentiful your potatoes are. All because you invested in the foundation first. 3. Planting your potatoes correctly. Planting potatoes seems simple, but timing and technique are crucial for a truly bountiful harvest. Potatoes thrive in cool soil, not cold frost, so planning when to plant sets the stage for success. In most temperate regions, aim to plant 2 to 4 weeks before the last expected frost. This ensures the soil is warm enough to encourage sprouting without the risk of frost damage. In warmer climates, early spring planting is ideal. Just make sure the soil isn't waterlogged, because soggy ground can rot seed potatoes before they even have a chance to grow. Seed potatoes are the cornerstone of your crop. These are small potatoes or pieces of larger potatoes with at least one healthy eye, which is the bud that sprouts into the new plant. If your seed potatoes are large, cut them into smaller pieces about the size of a chicken egg, always making sure each piece has at least 1 or 2 eyes. Let these cut pieces air dry for 1 to 2 days before planting. This allows the cut surfaces to callus over, reducing the risk of rot once in the ground. Now, depth and spacing are essential. Plant your seed potatoes 4 to 6 inches deep, with the eyes facing upwards. Give each piece about 12 inches of space to grow in all directions, allowing tubers room to swell. Rows should be 24 to 30 inches apart, wide enough for you to walk through for hilling and harvesting later without disturbing the plants. If you're planting in mounds, create a gentle hill about 6 to 8 inches high for each seed piece. This initial mound isn't just for looks. It makes hilling much easier as the plants grow, and encourages tubers to form in loose, airy soil rather than compact ground. Once planted, cover the seed potatoes with loose, friable soil and water, lightly to settle the soil around the seed. Avoid heavy watering at this stage, which can suffocate the developing roots. The first real sign of success is sprouting, when tiny green shoots push up through the soil. These shoots are the promise of a future harvest. From this point, the secret begins: gradual hilling and mulching, which transforms an ordinary crop into a massive, effortless bounty. 4. The secret potato trick: hilling and mulching. Here's where most gardeners go wrong. They leave the soil flat around their potatoes. This seems easier at first, but it limits tuber growth, exposes potatoes to sunlight, which turns them green and bitter, and allows weeds to take over. The secret to huge, healthy potatoes is simple: cover, cover, cover. Once potato shoots reach 6 to 8 inches above the soil, it's time for the first hill. Gently mound loose soil around the base of each plant, leaving the top leaves exposed. This is not just decorative. Each mound stimulates the plant to produce additional tubers along the buried stems. Potatoes naturally grow tubers from any stem portion that's underground, so the more you hill, the more potatoes you get, without extra fertilizer or effort. Repeat this process every 1 to 2 weeks as the plants continue to grow. The key is gentle layering. Add just enough soil to cover the new growth without burying the top leaves completely. This method ensures a continuous expansion of tubers beneath each mound. Instead of just soil, consider using straw or hay for hilling. Straw hilling is almost effortless and offers several benefits. Moisture retention. Straw acts like a sponge, keeping the soil evenly moist so your potatoes don't dry out during hot spells. Weed suppression. Thick layers prevent weed seeds from germinating, reducing competition for nutrients. Preventing compaction. Heavy rain can compact soil around shallow tubers, but straw provides a protective, airy layer. Easier harvest. At the end of the season, potatoes are easy to find and dig out because they're nestled in loose straw rather than hard soil. For the best results, maintain 3 to 4 hilling cycles throughout the growing season. Each time the plant grows another 6 to 8 inches, add more soil or straw around the base. By the end of the season, your potato plants will appear almost like small green bushes, and beneath each one, a treasure trove of tubers is waiting to be harvested. Pro tip: for ultra-large potatoes, leave the bottom leaves of each shoot lightly covered rather than fully buried. This allows the plant to photosynthesize efficiently while still encouraging maximum tuber growth underground. Optional step for perfectionists. If you want to take it one step further, sprinkle a light dusting of wood ash or a small handful of balanced granular fertilizer at each hilling stage. This can give the plants an extra boost, but it's truly optional. Potatoes naturally thrive in fertile, well-prepared soil, and the hilling method alone often doubles or triples your yield. By combining raised beds, proper spacing, hilling, and mulching, you're creating a potato growing system that's nearly self-sustaining. Minimal watering, minimal fertilizer, minimal weeding, and yet the results are staggering. Tubers will grow clean, large, and uniform, and because they're protected from sunlight, there's little to no green or bitter potatoes. In essence, hilling and mulching turn your potato bed into a living, self-multiplying system. The more attention you pay to layering and covering throughout the season, the more potatoes you'll harvest. And the best part? This method works across all potato varieties, whether you're growing small, waxy salad potatoes or massive russets for baking. 5. Watering for maximum yield. Watering might seem simple, but it's one of the most critical steps for producing huge, healthy potatoes. Many gardeners make the mistake of either watering too often or too little, and both extremes can drastically reduce your harvest. The key is consistency and depth, not frequency. Let me break it down. Potatoes are deep-rooted plants, and their tubers form below the surface. If the soil dries out too much, the tubers stop growing, resulting in small, undersized potatoes. On the other hand, excessive water, especially standing water, can rot the tubers, invite disease, or cause the plants to develop weak, floppy stems. So the ideal strategy is deep, infrequent watering. What does that mean? Instead of sprinkling a little water every day, give your potatoes a thorough soaking once or twice a week. This encourages the roots to grow deeper in search of moisture. Deep roots mean larger, healthier tubers, and a plant that's more resilient to heat and drought. Picture it like training an athlete. Roots that reach deeper into the soil are stronger and more productive. Timing is crucial. The most critical stage for watering is when the potatoes start flowering. Flowering isn't just beautiful, it's a signal that tubers are forming underground. During this stage, the plant is directing all its energy into producing potatoes, and moisture stress can cause cracks or irregular shapes. Uneven watering at this time often leads to misshapen tubers, which may still taste fine but won't store well, and can be frustrating at harvest. To make this easier, cover the potato bed with mulch or straw. Mulch has multiple benefits. It reduces evaporation, keeping the soil consistently moist without your constant attention. It keeps the soil temperature stable, which is particularly important during hot spells, since potatoes are sensitive to heat. It suppresses weeds, reducing competition for water and nutrients. A simple rule of thumb is that potatoes need about 1 to 2 inches of water per week, depending on rainfall and soil type. Sandy soils dry out faster, so they may need more frequent watering. Clay soils hold moisture longer, so watch for puddling or soggy spots. Always check the soil a few inches below the surface. It should feel damp, but not muddy. Watering techniques matter too. Avoid wetting the foliage if possible, as wet leaves can encourage fungal diseases like blight. Instead, water at the base of the plants, directing water toward the soil around the mounds or straw hills. Soaker hoses or drip irrigation are perfect for this, providing steady, gentle watering right where it's needed without creating runoff or soil compaction. Another tip, when using straw or hay as mulch, water lightly on top first to saturate the straw and allow it to wick moisture down to the soil. After that, a deeper soaking a few times a week is enough. By combining deep watering and mulching, you create a self-regulating environment where potatoes can thrive with minimal effort. Finally, remember, consistency is better than quantity. It's far better to water moderately and regularly than to douse your potatoes once in a while and let the soil dry completely between sessions. Over the weeks, this approach produces large, uniform tubers that are easy to harvest and store. Quick pro tips. During very hot or dry periods, check your mounds daily. The top layer of straw may appear dry, but the soil beneath might still be moist. Always check beneath the surface. Avoid shallow, frequent watering. This encourages tubers to stay near the surface, producing small, uneven potatoes. Mulch also protects tubers from sunlight, preventing greening and bitterness. With proper watering, your potato patch essentially runs itself. The plants grow steadily, tubers expand underground, and the risk of cracking or disease drops dramatically. Deep watering plus hilling and mulching is the secret trifecta for huge, effortless potato harvests.